How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at all the Blu-rays and DVDs I bought for the month of August. Yeah, August is finally over. Right now it's just, I live in Texas. It's been so hot lately. I've just been wanting, the fall to come and cool things down a bit. August is over, get through September, and then it's October and it's Halloween season. But all that's beside the point. I got, I think, 26 things to show you, and a really weird, wide variety of stuff. I got some Blu-rays, including some new titles. I got some TV shows. I got some more found footage stuff. Lots of crazy, weird, all over the place things. So without further ado, let's go ahead and switch over to the close-up camera and I'll show you guys what I got. Alright, here we are inside the castle taking a closer look at all the Blu-rays and DVDs that I got for August. And starting off with a couple that I was really glad to finally add to the collection. If you guys know me, I primarily dig through used movies in order to, save money, but I also like finding older stuff. But in turn, the newer, bigger releases have always been something that were a little bit harder to get a hold of because they'll usually, be full price for quite some time. But my brother actually gave me these first two for my birthday, so very big thank you to him. Because, these are some stuff that I was really needing. First off, I love this Warner Brothers 100 Years logo at the top, but the new Evil Dead movie, Evil Dead Rise. Overall, I thought this was pretty fun. It's the second in the remake universe, and, it's a little bit different, focusing on the one evil mother deadite, and also taking place in this apartment building. It's pretty cool, but I'd have to say probably the weakest of the Evil Dead movies, but still cool. And I do like that it did get a theatrical release. It was going to go straight to streaming, HBO Max. But if they did that, do you think it would even have, streaming stuff doesn't usually get physical media releases, so I'm glad it went to the theater just for that, really. Flip it to the back, we can see some cool images from the movie. And yeah, pretty fun. Anyway, the underside is the same as the slipcase, and we got red and gray. Kind of weird that the red one is the DVD. You think the cooler color would be for the Blu-ray, right? After that, another one that I definitely needed, Halloween Kills. Yeah, I have almost all the Halloween movies. I had them all the way up to the first Blumhouse movie, including the producer's cut of 6, but again, the last two kind of came out really rapidly and I hadn't had time to pick them up yet. And Kills is a fun movie. It's kind of goofy and silly, but it is over-the-top fun kills. So the first Blumhouse movie is the best of the three. Kills is still silly and fun. The third one, Ends, I wasn't a huge fan of, but I still will pick it up, and then I'll have the collection complete again. But overall, I love this cover. He's orange from the fire, and it's actually got pretty sick embossing on the mask. And yeah, orange for the extended cut up at the top. I wonder how much that really changes. And yeah, really cool. There's him in the fire there. Anyway, slide it open. Disc is the same as the front. And we have two black discs this time around. At least with the big Blu-ray logo, it's easy to tell which one's which. After that, I do have another new Blu-ray, and if you guys have been keeping up with the channel, you know that I've been collecting Studio Ghibli films, so now I have Princess Mononoke. Mononoke? I don't know how to pronounce it, but really glad to pick up one more of these. I'm trying to get them all on Blu-ray, especially if I can get them in this uniform format with their slip cases and with these matching spines. This one, flip it to the back and it talks about how there's this guy who's cursed and he's looking for the cure to this curse, and he stumbles upon this village who's fighting with a princess raised by wolves trying to protect the forest from its trying to protect this forest and all its guardian spirits. Sounds a little bit like Nausicaa, but I'm sure it will get different the more we go into it. Cracking it open, we get the booklet, and I love each one has its booklet, and then it has this Ghibli flyer, but they also give unique artwork to each disc, and we can tell which one's which from Totoro in the corner. That's pretty cool. I think this is the 6th Studio Ghibli film I've gotten. I think there's about 20 of them, I'm not sure, but slowly collecting them, and I'll eventually get a very nice collection. I'll do a full collection video once I've collected and watched them all, but everything I've seen of theirs so far has been pretty cool. Anyway, after that, I did get a new Vinegar Syndrome release. Christina Limberg and Thriller, A Cruel Picture. And people talk about how this is probably one of the inspirations for Tarantino's Kill Bill movie. Flip it to the back and it talks about how there's this girl and she gets kidnapped and forced to work as a prostitute, but she saves her money for training so that she can go on a revenge quest and escape them. And yeah, this is, from what I read about it online, very explicit and crazy, but, you know, if it inspired Kill Bill, then I probably should check it out. You do gotta love a grindhouse flick. There's the 2-disc, and this is actually the fully uncut one, and then this cut, they call her One Eye, is the more common cut that's got a lot of the stuff taken out of it. But we pop that open, we see it's got a reversible cover art of her holding the gun and pointing it right at the camera, which is cool. I wish one of the sides had, because sometimes if it has an alternate title that's really popular, that will be the flip case, but this still says Thriller, A Cruel Picture instead of They Call Her One Eye. After that, the last Blu-ray, I picked up, and this was in clearance for only $2, X-Men Apocalypse on Blu-ray and DVD, and I didn't have this one. I've got just like random bits of the X-Men movies. I do need to collect them all eventually. There is a fun series, but it definitely had its ups and downs, and to be honest, Apocalypse was definitely one of the downs. Just kind of taking this big climatic thing and turning it into a rushed, kind of sloppy mess, but, you know, it's still okay. Anyway, I do like this release. They actually, where it should say Blu-ray, it has an X-Men X, which I think is pretty cool, but this still has the plastic, you know, there's a security device on top, and that sticker is going right over the X, and I think when I take it off, it might peel off the X, so I saved it for the camera. Moment of truth. Will the X survive? Hey, it did. It took off a little bit, but for the most part survived. That's great. And, oh, we still got half of it. There we go. Now, inside, there's actually quite a bit of interesting art as well. We look at the disc, and they're two very unique and different discs. But one thing I do like is if you take the disc out, there's actually art behind them. See, there's the X-Men X again, and we get to see the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, one lined up for each section. And then if we take the Blu-ray out, we get to see, if I can get it out, we get to see Apocalypse himself with his pyramid peering through the X-Men X. So overall, it's not a super elaborate DVD, but this custom case with the holes in the case being the X-Men X, and with a reversible cover designed to peer through them, and 2 separate original discs, yeah, it's a pretty cool release. Not a great movie, but a cool release. That was on clearance for $2. Another one that I got on clearance for $2, jumping into the DVDs now, is Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci. This was on TV quite a lot, and I've seen this movie in bits and pieces, but I've never actually sat through and watched it all the way through front to back. It seems okay, though. That being said, with Headless Horseman movies, they always go the more scary horror route, but if you look at the original story, there's a lot of humor, and it has a different tone to it, so that did always bug me with Headless Horseman movies, but this one did seem gothic and atmospheric and pretty cool, and I am trying to collect all the Tim Burton movies too, so definitely needed this, and $2 is definitely a good price to pay for it. And the actor that plays the Headless Horseman, I didn't see his name on the back, fun cameo there as well, but I guess that's supposed to be a surprise. Up next, I have, and I actually left this on, Ojos de Fuego, and the store put this post-it note at the top, Eyes of Fire, and I love this cover with her in her cape and all these skeleton hands. Now, this is a Spanish release of the movie. The movie is American, but I looked at the back and I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's all regions right there, so this should play, and it does say that it has original English as the language, so that should be fine. And look at this thing. That's so creepy looking. But this looked like a really fun 80s movie that I never heard of, and I'm always down for movies like that. It sounds like there's this priest who takes a bunch of his congregation to go search for some promised land or something, but of course they find horrible things out in the woods. No idea what this will be like, but it looks really cool. Yeah, and I can't read the description on the back either. But anyway, that's Eyes of Fire. After that, one that I've been wanting to add to my collection for quite some time, and that is Stephen King's Cat's Eye. I think whenever I wanted to buy this, it was always missing, and I saw it at the store, and I'm like, I gotta grab this up, because this is semi-rare. Like, it's not the rarest thing ever, but it's like whenever I wanted it, it was always gone. But this is an anthology trilogy from the guy that directed Cujo, and it has Quitters, Inc., and then it has the one where the guy goes around the ledge, but it doesn't say the name of that. And then it has one where a cat has to fight off this little troll, and that has Drew Barrymore in it. It's been a long time since I've seen this movie, but I remember it being super fun. And there's the cat right there. Gotta love... You know, there's not too many horror movies about good cats, you know, so got to love that one. And add that to my Stephen King collection. After that, something for the Nicolas Cage collection, and that is 8mm, which I got in a double pack with 8mm too. I kind of wanted it that way, you know, save space on the shelf, but plus 8mm too. I mean, it's not, I don't think Nicolas Cage is even in that one. You know, just condense things, keep them all in one place. But flip it to the back, and I've heard a little bit about this movie, but it is super vague. Something about Nicolas Cage and a 6-year-old mystery and truth about himself. Ironically, the sequel has way more in the description box, talking about how there's this politician and a blackmail and murder scheme. Have to check these out, and I like to get both of them in one place, but plus individual disc, which is great. You know, still takes up one slot on the shelf, but a disc for each one. That's cool. After that, another one that I was really wanting to get for quite some time, and I finally found it for cheap. I seen it around, but not for cheap. $5-6, something like that. And that is Class of 1984. This has this slipcase on it, but actually underneath it, the silhouettes here, you can barely see them on the camera, but they actually correspond to the under artwork, which is this much more pop art version of this. But Class of 1984, it talks about how there's this good teacher who goes into a school and finds that all the students are like gang members and punks, and he's trying to cut down on the crime. And the thing that really got me wanting to watch this is the story is actually written by Tom Holland. Tom Holland wrote Child's Play. No, he directed Child's Play. Don Mancini wrote it, right? But yeah, a Tom Holland movie, so I really needed that for my Tom Holland collection, and plus a cult classic 80s movie. Definitely needed to watch that. After that, we have two vampire movies. One with Carmen Electra called American Vampire, which is kind of funny because Scott Snyder would make a comic book called American Vampire, but the two projects have nothing to do with each other. But anyway, you flip it to the back and it talks about how there's this guy, his parents go away and he wants to party, and there's these three people. One of them is Carmen Electra, who he invites into his house, but it turns out they're vampire hunters, and not vampire hunters, vampires, and he needs a vampire hunter, and the vampire hunter in this movie is played by Adam West. That's crazy. Batman as a vampire hunter. So yeah, Batman versus Carmen Electra there. I think this one I bought for like $1 as well, so super cheap, and hopefully will be good, campy fun. The next vampire movie is I, Vampire, Trilogy of Blood, and it has the 3 shorts here. Now, at first I thought this was a 3-pack of movies, but total runtime 85 minutes. No, this is a anthology horror trilogy, and it features Spawn of Hell, From the Grave, and Undead Evil. So cool to see a trilogy sort of anthology film where they all focus on the same monster, and I'm hoping there's connecting tissue between the things, you know. So the most savage vampire master has returned and is looking for the bloodstone, and then in this one someone became a vampire to find their lost love and is apparently found their reincarnation or something, and then there's a girl who's a pianist and 2 vampires are kind of fighting over her. So interesting to see how this one pans out. Got to love an anthology film, and also this guy on the inside who owns the entertainment company there with his glasses of wine kind of toasting you. That's a little weird, but okay. After that, I found a full moon movie. This one is called The Vault, and I think I picked this up for just $2. But in The Vault, there are these kids that are going to a school that's about to be torn down to look for stuff that the school district can still use. But in the school's basement, they find a mysterious vault and let out some sort of monster, and it's hunting them around the school. Gotta love full moon movies. Got to love school horror. So definitely adding this to the collection for just $2. And slowly the full moon collection will grow. I have a bunch of full moon movies, probably about 40 or so, but they've made hundreds. Like, this is a semi-early release, and it's number 192. So yeah, there is a bunch of full moon movies. After that, another line, Bloody Disgusting Selects. I have a few of these. You know, one of them I think I picked up like last month, a found footage one called Atrocious. This one's called The Pack, and it talks about how there's this girl, and she is living in a van, and her friend disappears, and she gets kidnapped, and ghouls start draining her blood to feed themselves, and she has to escape. And I think this is a French movie. French movies have been going quite extreme. If you guys have seen High Tension, there's some pretty good extreme French horror films lately, so definitely hoping for something cool from that. And the van life nomad thing has been quite popular lately. After this, I have 2 animated movies. This first one, D Geist, and this is kind of like a 2-part thing. I think these were 2 direct-to-video shorts that kind of go together into a movie. Director's Cut and D Geist 2 Death Force. And I think the director's cut is so they added in more connective tissue between the two, but them together is only 91 minutes. And it talks about how there's this one guy, he's kind of an outcast, but he's like the only one that can stop, I think it's a rogue AI or something, so he has to fight them. And apparently this has some pretty cool over-the-top anime action moments, but this is what sold me open it up. Look at that cool skeleton. Oh man, that's cool. Got to love crazy extreme anime stuff, and that's what I'm hoping for with this one. After that, Ninja Resurrection, and yeah, like most people that watch this movie that pick it up, I haven't seen it yet, I thought it was a sequel to Ninja Scroll, but I looked it up, it's totally unrelated. But flip it to the back and it talks about how there's this guy, he wants to live a quiet life, but dead ninjas are coming back to life and he has to stop them. So it's like a zombie ninja movie or something. I think like the last one, it is 2 parts. The Revenge of Jubai and Hell's Spawn. So yeah, one of those 2 parts that goes together to form a movie type deals, and there's the inside with the booklet. Anyway, after that, I got both parts in a horror movie duology. There's lots of horror movies that made it to 2 parts, and this is one of them. Are You Scared 1? And Are You Scared 2? And I really do like, this is literally the exact same cover, but with a different image on the computer, and they did change the light below, and also there's this super dumb joke. You see that's a mouse, it's a computer mouse, but anyway, the backs are actually also pretty much the same, but with different pictures. The thing that gets me is the spines don't match. It was so close to being a perfect matching set. But anyway, these are Saw clones. Basically, you get some guy doing a internet show, Are You Scared?, where people go into traps to face their deepest fears. And then the sequel is something along those lines, but with geocaching. I think the sequel wasn't that great, which usually if you see movies that only made it to part 2, decent first movie, terrible sequel, so we'll just have to see. I actually watched half of Are You Scared 1. It is a pretty cheesy Saw knockoff, but I think that might be what I needed right now. And I also love Hollywood Video for 1 and Blockbuster for part 2. Let me go ahead and show you guys the disc while we're here. There is part 1's disc, and this is part... Oh, it slipped out. Part 2's disc. So that's Are You Scared? Now, I actually found these movies because someone had a list of found footage horror. The first one is barely, like, it has a few found footage segments when he's looking through the cameras. It's not really. I think part 2 might be found footage. Haven't seen that yet. So, blended and maybe. After that, though, I do have several new, well, 4 new found footage horror movies. The first one, the Atticus Institute. This one is like a government conspiracy movie. Basically, they find this girl with strange powers, and it turns out it's like some evil spiritual powers, but the government wants to use them for their own, and it talks about how now, after all this time, the records are being unsealed. So, looks cool, an experimental film. I actually have a different movie called, like, The Attic Institute with Seth Green in it, and at first I thought that's what they were talking about. I'm like, that's not found footage, but no, this is a different movie with a similar title. After that, we actually have a Halloween movie, it sounds like. This one's called Followed, and we get the devil face with her with the duct tape over her mouth. Now, this is an Echo Bridge movie, and quite recently on this channel, I talked about Lured, which was a Echo Bridge found footage horror movie, and that was not the best, but, you know, I'll check this one out. And this one talks about how there's a YouTuber, and a sponsor bets him that he can't get 50,000 subscribers before Halloween night, and bets him quite a bit of money. So he's doing a thing where he stays in a haunted house and is streaming it, trying to get people to subscribe to him, but of course things are going to go wrong and get spooky. And now it says by Halloween night, so I'm hoping that this is a very Halloween-y horror movie. I'm always looking for new Halloween movies. Halloween is actually Like, this is the end of August, then we have September, then it's October and it's Halloween season, and I need a bunch of Halloween horror movies to fill up the season. So if you guys have any recommendations, definitely check them out. A simple disc with just a blood splatter. After that, we get Paranormal Diaries Clophill, and it says from the makers of Zombie Diaries, which I actually have both the Zombie Diaries movies. I haven't seen them yet, but yeah, I guess those are found footage as well. So this is like Zombie Diaries, but with Ghost. And it talks about how they're spending 3 nights at a supposedly haunted old church when, of course, something awakens. And this is an RLJE movie, and we crack it open, and it's one of those with the ads behind the disc, and then there's the disc here. So definitely check that out, and I'll have to check out the Zombie Diaries ones as well. The last found footage movie is The Possession of Michael Keene, and I actually have this in a slipcase with a motion lintel cover. Don't know how well that shows up on camera, but yeah, it's like his back, and there's faces coming out of his back. Not the best case, though, because it is torn here. It was actually torn here, too, but I glued that back together, but this is just missing. But anyway, the back of the disc DVD talks about how there's this guy, and he doesn't believe in the supernatural at all, so he invites a bunch of people to try to curse him, and guess what? That goes wrong. He turns out that the supernatural is real, and now he's possessed. Beneath that, same as a slipcase, but non-motion lintel. And there's the disc, just a plain silver disc. But anyway, those are the new found footage movies. I'm a big fan of found footage horror, and I've been going through a bit of a kick lately, so glad to grab 4, maybe 5 more. After that, we wrap things up with TV shows, and I have 2 seasons of American Horror Story. I only have, I think, yeah, I had 3. I had Murder House, Asylum, and Hotel, and now I have Cult and Apocalypse. Cult is the one about the 2016 election, and yeah, no, I remember that. People went nuts, and the world didn't even end or anything like that. We went nuts for nothing. But we get Evan Peters acting like some weird cult leader and manipulating people, and there's some sort of government conspiracy. I saw a few episodes of this one, but I haven't seen it all the way through. And this has 1, 2, 3 discs in it. And we got like a sort of red and blue drain motif going there. Anyway, the next one, Apocalypse, which I think combines like Murder House and one of the other seasons, I'm not sure, but we get the baby there, and it talks about how there's bunkers after a nuclear war, and a mysterious stranger arrives and kind of shakes up the status quo. I haven't seen any of this one, so I'm curious what this one's like. I really need to go through and do a rewatch for this series. But again, 3 disc with the flipper case, and we get the hands as the background image this time around. Now, one that I just started collecting, and I really should have got to collecting this sooner because it's a show that I really, really love, and that is Red Dwarf. I got Series 3 and Series 5. Now, Red Dwarf is about a guy who was frozen when there was a radiation leak on his spaceship, and the spaceship didn't wake him up till it was safe, which was millions of years later. So now he wakes up, way too much time has passed, and he's way too far from Earth, and he has to figure out how to survive. And it's a British comedy. There's some fun, wacky characters. And yeah, so I got 2 seasons of it, but because they're British, there's only like 6 episodes in a season. But these cases are very, very thick and sturdy, and it's got 1 disc for the episode, 1 disc for the bonus features, but this actually has a whole set of playing cards with all the characters, or trading cards rather, and Season 5 also still has its trading cards in there. I don't know if I'll be able to collect all the seasons with all their cards, but it's a fun thing to have, and I would definitely recommend this show. It's really fun. Anyway, so that's all the movies. The castle is full, but not as full as I've seen it other times. So a little bit smaller of a haul. Hopefully next month I can keep it down to maybe just this much and not have to start stacking the other way. But overall, some really good stuff, some new stuff that I wanted, some random pulls that I, like Class of 1984 and Cat's Eye that I really needed, found footage, interesting movies, some TV shows. Yeah, lots of cool stuff. Glad I was able to get all this. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my monthly movie hauls playlist. I've done this for almost a year, so there is quite a few of these if you want to see all this crazy stuff I bought. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.